So you can see here we are going to create an agent using this prompt. So essentially what we want the Excel agent to do is to build us a loan calculator that computes monthly payments based on user inputs for a specific loan amount. So this will give us the interest rate, term in years, and we generate a schedule showing the month payment, principal interests, and remaining balance. And of course we want this in a really clear and concise table. So let's see how this gets on. So we can see as the agent starts to work, it is determining what it needs to do. Now I'll go into some of this in a little bit more detail later where we'll see the breakdown of the reasoning. But for now, we'll just sit back and watch as the agent runs through. Now it does take a little bit of time. I found this initial bit took 3.5, nearly 4 minutes to complete. So I have sped this bit up for you while we watch. But as the model progresses, what you'll see is it's starting to build the model for us in real time. So this is quite cool. So we've now finished the initial model that I've asked it to do. It's created a calculator for me. Not quite what I want. I would also like it in English. I should have probably been clearer when I told it to, so I'm going to ask it to make the currency into British pounds. The next thing I think that I want to do is also add the ability for the user to make overpayments to the loan and see how the agent goes about adding those kind of sections and tasks to the model. So we'll ask it to do that now and we'll see what it comes up with. Let's watch and see. So I've asked it to do that. You can see the agent working in the background. You can see its reasoning. You can see all the tasks that it's currently going through as it attempts to add those changes to the model. So let's wait and see what that does. Again, this does take a little while. I tend to find so far it's sort of a good 3 or so minutes while it's doing this, but of course there's a huge amount of work going on behind the scenes. You can of course see some of those changes taking place as the model starts performing. So we can see here is added already. You can see here in row 8 where it's added the overpayment section as it's going through the model. And of course in the background it's having to completely recompute all aspects of this model. So it's got to recreate the schedule, the payment schedule. It needs to update the actual payment sections. And of course it needs to update the UI. We can also expand the reasoning section here to actually see what the Copilot agent is doing, so we can see all the various stages. So this is similar to how the analyst agent works in Microsoft 365 Copilot, or how researcher works, where you actually see the breakdown and the reasoning and the thinking over how the agent is actually working. So this is really quite cool to see. Okay, so here we can see the model's finished. If I add some values in here, we can test it. So, oh no, so it's actually giving me some errors in here, which is strange. I can see the formula it's using. Okay. But it seems to not be working. So I'm going to try a different value. We'll see whether that makes a difference. Interesting. Still doesn't like that value. Like 0. Okay, so that's interesting. So it does like a smaller value. So definitely, definitely something not quite right with that. So I think what we're going to do is tell the Excel agent that it needs to fix this for us because it's clearly not working properly. Now I could sit and work out obviously what's going on, but instead I'm going to simply ask, more to the point, tell the Excel agent that its calculations aren't working, and I'm going to ask it to check it. I mean, it's basically about being as clear as you can, and think about the fact you're actually working alongside this agent, so you're iteratively working on the Excel spreadsheet or model in this case. So again, we're going to let the agent run. We're going to let it analyze what we've told it. We're going to have a look at its understanding and how it's reasoning over what it's done and processing our instruction and adding those changes. And we'll see whether we can get to a model that actually works without me having to write any code or do any formulas myself. You can see here, if you look at the calculations, that it's obviously made some changes because the formula suddenly appears to be working. So let's keep watching as it kind of runs through. You'll subtly see some of the adjustments being made to the model as it runs. So what I love here is the verbose information that you can actually see while it's creating. So again, you can see the breakdown of the steps. You can expand on these as well. So if you look here, you can see where it is checking and fixing the overpayment calculations. This was the bit that I specifically complained about. So it's adding to this as well as it goes through, which is really, really cool. Okay, so it's ready. Let's have a go. Stick a number in. Okay, that seems to work. This time I don't have errors. That's good. I can stick some different values in. It does seem to be adjusting the payments as well, so that's good. Okay, but the next thing I want to do is it should update the term of the loan if the payments are showed. So I want it to add some more information to let me know if an overpayment's made, then what are the changes to the loan terms. So let's see if it can go ahead and do that. I'm going to skip through this section because it, like I say, it can take a couple of minutes to update. So we'll have a look at what it's doing and then I'll skip it forward to see what it's doing. We can see there we're going to hopefully get a month saved cell put in somewhere. So let's see if it does that. Actually, I can already see it adding. So I'm going to pause this. We'll skip it through and I'll see you at the end. Okay, so that was actually really quick to only got about 3 seconds of the video. So it does say that it has done this. So I can see for the actual example here, it's put that payment term in. Is added over payments in. So if I change it again, let's see what it does. Put a slightly bigger value in. So there we go. Yeah, so it is now calculating the number of months saved against the normal term. So it was previously 30 years, 12 per term. So let's see how that's working out. And yeah, so there we go. If I put the full amount in, you can see it's quite naturally showing me the kind of overpayment in that example. So that's quite good. I like that. That's done a pretty good job, I think. Is there anything else we think we want to ask the agent to do? Let's think. I think a graph would be good. So I'd quite like to see how the payment changes so I can essentially change the terms myself and have a look at what it looks like. So if you think about how you might do that on a mortgage calculator on a bank website, for example, then quite often you kind of get this slider bar where you can add your monthly charges and see what happens. So I want to create a similar approach so I can see the differences in the payment. So let's have a go and see what that does. but I do like to see the thinking. It is thinking about where do I put the chart. It's planning where to put it, which is nice. It's determining what type of chart to use. So it's in the background thinking about what would look best. Is it a bar chart? Is it a line graph? I'm guessing a line graph is probably going to be most suitable. Okay, so it's creating some information. So I think what it's doing here is creating almost a table that it's going to use to calculate the payments, of which it will then, of course, use for the basis of the graph. So think about any graph that you're going to create in Excel, it needs a set of data in order to have the graph over. So I can see it's building this right now. And there we go. So I haven't paused this, as you can see, because it's actually quite interesting to see it working in the background. So it's applying a chart. I can see it's now stuck a chart. Now it has stuck it right in the middle of my table. So I would hope that it won't stay there, that it will put it in a different place. Okay, so it's flashing up. Okay, so it has put that somewhere. Did seem to actually show me something. So let's see what it's going to do with that. This is quite cool. This is the first time I've used the Excel agent. Let's scroll down and see what it's done. Here we go. We have graph. Let's zoom out a little bit. There we go. So I've obviously got a graph that shows me what my payments would have been and my outstanding balance, and one that shows me that balance with my overpayment, which I did put in to that top value. And there we go. So that's the data it's sorted out underneath it. So we should therefore be able to play around with this. We could move it. Okay, so I could move it, potentially put it on a different sheet maybe. I could obviously format it myself if I want to, bring it to the front, all those kind of things. This is quite impressive. It's given me some guidance of where to look. That's quite useful. It's told me where it's placed the chart. That's good. I can see that. I guess if it was a bigger sheet, it might be harder to know where that was. I could probably ask it to move it, but there's an aspect of things I could do myself. Let's change the overpayment type. Yeah, okay, so I can see the curve has tailed off less this time because I'm overpaying less. I guess I would expect that. And I guess if we change that again, let's try a different value. Let's try £100 overpayment. I'd expect that curve to be a lot closer. There we go. Yeah, a lot closer. So there we go. What do we think? That was the Excel agent in Microsoft Excel. If you like the video, let me know in the comments. Like and subscribe. And speak to you all again soon.